All right, we are live here at FNGO this Thursday, September 25th. What's up, Justin? Hope everybody's doing good with their work day. I hope it's going just fine for you guys. You're not killing yourselves too much. Everything's going nice and smooth for all of you guys, and that it's your lunch break, and you can come hang with me for a little bit as we just sit here and pontificate on life and whatever it is we want to talk about, though. So again, if you're watching on YouTube, hey, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And those of you over there on TikTok, make sure you give us a follow. Go ahead and get rid of, not really get rid of, but kind of address a couple things real quick before we get in our conversation while everybody's getting a chance to pop on. Again, Lake Notley got the Sester Benefit Tournament going on this Saturday for the Sester family. Lost everything in a house fire, got two young boys. So if you're in that area and you can fish, definitely go up there and help them out with that tournament. Fishers of Hope's putting it on. It's $100 entry fee. It's out of Devers. There's going to be food and a raffle after the weigh-in. So if you're in that area, definitely go enjoy that. Again, hey, sign-ups have already started for the Toys for Tots. I've already got people signing up. So you guys remember, you're going to blast off in the order of which you signed up. So if you want an early blast off, you better go ahead and get pre-registered. You can call me or text me here, 678-283-6700. It's all the info is on the Fish North Georgia group page. But I can take payment, PayPal, Venmo if you can't come up here. Or you can walk in there to the store and sign up for that. So that's December 6th, okay, $5,000 first place prize. 2 toys per angler team. If you're fishing solo, just one. Again, let's make it a nice toy. It's all about the Pickens County, Hall County Toys for Tots. We want to help out all of those. Oh, I need to see that, Coleman. You caught me off guard right there with that comment right there. But anyway, it's all for the Hall County and Pickens County Toys for Tots. And we want everybody in our community to come out there and fish that. It's going to be a great time. Doug Rice just left, but he says, what's up, guys? Actually, Doug come and see me up here at the shop this morning. Had a great talk. Always enjoy seeing people that follow us. Doug and I are going to do some stuff coming up here in the future together. I think you guys are going to enjoy. Derek Spicer went out to Allatoona this morning. He said he's glad he did. What was going on with that there, Spicer? Let us know in the comments section. Doc, Dead Rabbit, Cody, Tony. I'll see Tony here in a little while later on. Geiger and Steven, all you guys. And, of course, if you are watching on TikTok, hello to you as well. Coleman said, Danny, the guy on Stray Cast had an EVH guitar pattern painted Fritz side 5. Don't know if you saw it. I didn't. You know why? Because I got on there. And it made me sad to see you there. No, I'm just kidding. I busted another guy with podcast adultery. Coleman was watching Stray Cats last night. But no, I was really interested in that too because I knew Emil and all them were going to be on that. So I listened to it for a while. And no, I did not see that. But whoever had it, they have good taste. Let's just put it that way. So Justin also wants to know, how did Tuna fish this morning? He wanted to hit Lanier, but he got called into work. Don't you just hate that when you're going to go fishing and you get called into work? That's why, I never get to fish. I'm always at work, it seems like. But you guys, Coleman, you guys are always welcome. And also, too, your fine fiance hit me up last night, wanted to know why I hadn't responded to the wedding invite. So I made sure that I responded last night. The Georgia Cookbook Guy on TikTok, appreciate you stopping by, wants to know, what's the best lake to fish around Fayetteville? So those of you that live in the Fayetteville area or down near it, throw out a couple of lakes so that we can tell him which way to go. I don't fish down around Fayetteville, so I couldn't tell you. I'd be lying to you if I tried to give you some advice on the lakes down there. But generally, somebody in our viewership has. Coleman said Lake Horton near Fayetteville for sure. Tim Hancock said Lake Horton. So there's 2 for Lake Horton. And I'm sure some more will roll in. But it seems like if the first 2 guys say Lake Horton, then Lake Horton might be the best lake to fish around Fayetteville. Stray Cast was cool, but drove me nuts after about 5 minutes. No hate to them, just not my style. And what's up, Messi? Listen, I'll be honest. I don't listen to a lot of fishing podcasts because they're not like what we do. You understand what I'm saying? And it's not that they're not good and they got good guests, good information. It's just, it seems kind of dry sometimes. We're a little more laid back. How about that? You know how we roll around here. But Tim Hancock also said, Georgia Cookbook Guy, if you're still on, Kedron, Kedron, ain't bad either. So there's your 2. Oh yeah, Coleman's getting married December 20th. Now I got a question there a little bit. I saw that it's supposed to be Western wear. You realize I'll have to go out and buy something to go to your wedding, right? Do I look like a cowboy? I don't have to have a cowboy hat, do I? Because I've always had this thing like, I don't know, it's just me. Watching all these guys, all these young guys around there too, that got cowboy hats on, knowing that they ain't never been near a damn cow in their entire life. I just, you go out to Montana like we did, you see cowboys, like real cowboys. But I always get tickled at the youngins that got cowboy hats on. And I know it's probably just a phase or fad or whatever. But, okay. So, hey, guys, Georgia Cookbook guys clarified something. He wants to know a lake around there that you can use a gas-powered motor on. He wanted to make sure he missed that. And Coleman, I don't think that she would like that. I don't think she would like me showing up to your wedding in a thong. So he wants to know a lake that you can use your gas-powered motor on near Fayetteville. No MPFL Live. Patricia Leanne Doug can tell you I've been busy all morning. I haven't even had a chance to check in on the MPFL guys, so I have no idea. Generally, I think the first day of their tournaments is not live, though. But I did wear my shirt in support of them. So Tim Hancock says you can't fish Fayette County lakes unless you're a resident or you pay $300 for a permit. And Tyler said he would look dumb with a cowboy hat on. I just listen. I mean, I tease. I probably would look really, really good in cowboy attire. I'd be the shortest cowboy out there, like the Tony. What is it? What's that short guy? Tony DeVito or whatever. That's what my family called me because I'm balding a little bit. Or Danny DeVito. That's it. Danny, not Tony. But anyway, if you guys know of a lake with a gas-powered motor around the Fayetteville area, and I mean, I'm sure he's willing to drive a little bit, so throw something out there. Cody Jones said, went to Allatoona for the first time last weekend for a few hours, caught my first spotted bass up in Ohio. No, caught his first spotted bass. Up in Ohio, we have largemouth and smallmouth. Have little to no spotted bass in Ohio. It was cool catching my first spot. As much as we love spotted bass here, you don't want them there. You want to keep your largemouth and smallmouth to themselves. 100% you want to. And no, you don't need a hat or boots here, so just wear something decent. Jeans are fine. No, listen, I'm gonna look the part, but I'm not gonna get into one of them daggum, what's that topaz or that blue stuff you see all them cowboys wear with a little string pulled up like a tie, but it ain't a tie and all that stuff. I'll dress up. I'm not gonna embarrass you, but I'm not gonna go out and buy a cowboy hat. I really honestly just think that's it's funny to me. It's kind of like guys that act like they're an outdoorsman or something like that. And, they ain't been outdoors their entire life, but it's really great to see in their bio or something like that. There's guys like that. Turquoise. That's what I'm talking about. Turquoise. I don't own any turquoise. Not going to go buy it as much as I like you and your fiance, but I will be nice. I might go get me a nice Western looking, how about like a vest, white shirt with a leather type vest over it, something like that. Bolo ties, what you guys are all throwing out there. Well, I used to wear ties a lot when I was younger because I worked in a grocery store. And back then in a grocery store, you had to wear a tie. But I haven't worn one. I mean, I will for a funeral, but I don't wear them like I used to. John G. Wilson. First of all, John put out a video. John, is it just on your Facebook? I watched it on Facebook. Is that where it's located at? But he was down there fishing. And let me tell you what John G. Wilson did. He gave us an absolutely fantastic shout out for Fish North Georgia, the podcast, you guys, everything. Fantastic. The entire time, he's throwing a damn whopper plopper. He's throwing a whopper plopper and then expressing the love he has for our podcast here. You can find it on YouTube as well. And I was sitting there, I was laughing. Doug come up. I think I told Doug that too. I told Doug, I said that I told somebody this morning, he made this video, throwing an old whopper plopper or Chapo or whatever it was, but he was catching fish. Now he was catching fish. So, but listen, John, I appreciate you. Absolutely. I appreciate all of you guys more than you know. Show up with 2 revolvers and an ammo belt around your shoulder. We'll see that. I might do that. I might go buy one of them little cap guns. I hope I can say that on TikTok. Are you saying you don't like having spots down here? No, I like spots. I love spotted bass. But like on a lake like Blue Ridge, that used to be a largemouth, smallmouth lake, the spots have absolutely decimated the smallmouth population on it. So what I'm saying is if you got a lake that's already got those, you don't want to add spots to that. You don't want them crossbreeding, any of that. You want to keep your true smallmouth and all that because a spot will outcompete anything. But no, I love spots. Don't get me wrong. That's what makes Lake Lanier so great, spotted bass. But we definitely, if you have that, you want to keep that pure strain smallmouth there, your largemouth. You definitely do not want spotted bass in a lake like that, at least in my opinion. Okay. Let's see. Why not have a FNGO theme, Coleman? Hey, listen, Doc, I told him to come here and I'd marry him right here. One of these days there will be a wedding because I can do it. I'm internet ordained. One of these days, some couple is going to say, yeah, let's go get married on FNGO. And we're going to do it right here for all you to enjoy. I do a good wedding. Tyler Shelnut says, I think spots cross with smallies and largies more than Alabama spots. Oh, he thinks the Kentucky spots will crossbreed more than the Alabama spots. Alabama spots cross with shoal bass a lot, though. I did not know that. So there you go. And Coleman does. Now, he's right. No man gets to choose the theme of his wedding. No man does. Tim says, I did a Whopper Plopper video and dedicated it to you, and you gave me grief about it on the first podcast I was on. I know it. Listen, there's no doubt it catches fish. But we all know how I feel about that bait. Colton says, spots are great, but if not managed right, you will end up with 1,000,000 10 to 12-inch spots throughout your whole lake. That's true. That's very true. Danny twitched every time you caught one on the Whopper Plopper. My eyeball is still twitching, right? I've still got this little thing going. So, but it was cool. A very cool video. Other than that, and we had to look at his feet the whole time. That's one thing about you kayak guys. You got the camera sitting in a certain way. We got to look at your feet the entire time. And I'm not saying your feet's ugly. There's just a lot of people, they're not crazy about feet. Do I sell them? I don't recall. I sell the Chapo. And got to think there was a gentleman while Doug was here. A gentleman walked in the shop. And his wife had broke down just down the hill here. And he came in here, and Doug Rice and I helped push it. We thought we was going to maybe be able to push her car off the street into our parking lot, but it's on an angle. And we only pushed it like 4 foot, but we got her out of the road. And the guy said he was going to go get us a coffee for it. And I was like, no, you ain't got to do that. But he came back with some coffee from up here at the Lowe's. They got a coffee shop in there. And actually, Doug, I don't know about yours, but this ain't a bad cup of coffee. So I appreciate whatever that gentleman's name is for the coffee right now. But yeah, also to you, congratulations, Coleman. Let me tell you about Coleman though. You've heard me say it before about outpunting your coverage, right? Never in the history of marriages has anybody outpunted his coverage more than Coleman has. I don't know what Coleman's got going for him, but he definitely outpunted his coverage. Definitely. But they're good people. I'm going to enjoy going down there. Rockmart, though, interesting. So okay, this is good about the spots. I like this. This is good, Patricia. Never trust a bass that beds 15 foot deep. 100% right there. And some of our faces aren't as pretty as our feet, John said. Now, listen, I'm just giving you hell, buddy. So I was sitting here this morning when I got to the shop. Last night, my wife gave me, you guys may or may not know this, but sometimes I can't sleep at night. We've talked about it. I'll come in here. I'm going on an hour and a half of sleep because my brain does not cut off at all, ever. Now, if I'm not thinking about the shop or the TV show or you guys or whatever, I'm thinking about something. Why the Braves wait till the last 2 weeks of the season to get hot and be the best team in baseball. I mean, things like that. So last night, my wife gave me this gummy. Not one of those gummies. At least I don't think so. But she said it had all this different type of magnesium in it and whatever. Guys, I actually slept for like 8.5 hours last night. I haven't had 8 hours of sleep in a decade. But Coleman says, Danny, I appreciate the kind, reaffirming words. If Danny ever lets me on the show, I'll prove to y'all that I'm one funny joker. I think that's why she stays with me. Hey, but listen, you got to have a sense of humor, Coleman. But anyway, so I came in here in the shop this morning after getting 8.5 hours worth of sleep. got going with my emails, and I'm trying to talk to companies and do all this. And I was listening to a video. Sometimes I'll just turn YouTube on. It was the only kind of gummy sleeping 8 hours. Let me pull that back down and read that comment from Bobby. It was the only kind of gummy sleeping for 8 hours. Listen, my wife, I would hope not. I would hope my wife did not give me that kind of gummy. But I did sleep. I fell asleep, and I didn't wake up till this morning. Are you talking about melatonin? I don't know what it was. But I slept. It was Aaron Rodgers gummy. It was, quotation marks, one of them gummies in. Listen, my wife ain't into that stuff, so I hope it wasn't. But let me tell you this. She said it's got all this kind of magnesium and all these different kinds of things. You're going to sleep. And boy, I slept. But I came in here and I turned on YouTube and I was listening to a video. And it was talking about having passion in life. And sometimes, you know, I like white noise. Lots of times I got Van Halen and all that cranking in here. And all, for some reason I was listening to videos. And it was talking about, you know, having passion in what you do, being willing to outwork everybody. You know, it's one of those kind of like rah, rah, you know, pump up videos. Got the David Goggins of the world and all those on it, you know, basically telling you suck if you ain't working hard enough, you know, those kind of videos. But it did put a thought in my mind. It did actually put this thought in my mind, and it wasn't what I planned on talking about today, but it was about having excitement and passion in what you do, especially when it comes to fishing, the outdoors. And we can talk about that or even your work. And so, you know, you guys are here every single day. You are our little cult. That's what I tell everybody. We have a cult-like following. And so I was sitting there thinking in my mind, I'm like, they have to have some passion for what we do here because they're here every day. And I appreciate it. You guys have no idea how much it means to me to see your names every time we do something live. Or how, like Doug come up this morning, somebody that knows us, that it started through the show, and now I got a face. And I mean, I've met Doug before, but lots of times somebody that I've never met before comes in here, and they're like, yeah, I watch your show. And it's like, you don't know. That's kind of what drives me every day. This is the only job I've ever had where the money ain't all that great, but all the benefits other than that is fantastic. And I can't wait to get up in the morning and come here, even on days I feel like absolute crap. I love coming in here because you never know who's going to walk through the door or whatever. And so I was just kind of thinking that, and I was kind of doing a self-check in my own mind about what could I do better. You know, it was one of them videos that, you know, makes you think. But then I got thinking about you guys, like what are you guys passionate about? Like when it comes to fishing. And it could be an 80,000 feet looking down kind of passion. Or it could be like a specific niche. Like, you know, I have passion for glide baits. I don't, but somebody could have passion for glide baits. Somebody could have passion for the whopper plopper. Lord knows I would question you a little bit, but what do you got? What are you guys passionate about when it comes to the fishing and outdoor industry or hunting or whatever? Colton says, dude, I have to read subtitles on TV with the sound muted to fall asleep. If not, my mind runs all night long. Well, the reason I take Adderall is the doctor described my brain after I did this test, and I did all these tests and all that. And she said I was the worst case she's ever seen. But she said, your mind is like a TV, and all 100 channels are playing at the same time, and you're trying to watch all of them. That's how she described my brain. So, you know, I'm all over the place with that. It's hard to eat honey buns when you're listening to those videos. It'll make you throw it out the window. I don't know which video, what you're talking about there, Coleman. I must have missed a comment. We don't have Waco anymore. We have FNGO. That's what we are. Now, traveling fisherman said he's passing. He's always learning something new and catching new species, all while traveling the country. That's his passion. I can dig it. I can dig that. And I absolutely think it's fantastic. You have the opportunity in your life and in your situation where you get to do that, and people get to live vicariously through what you do. I think it's amazing. I try to catch some of the stuff you put out every chance I get. I'm always, you know, doing our stuff. So sometimes I don't get to watch everybody else's stuff as much as I'd like, but I know you love that. I have a passion for spotted bass. That's for sure. Clint says, why don't you just come to the mountains with me this weekend? Be back Saturday evening, leaving early tomorrow morning. You can do the lunch break from the water. Clint, I know what you do in your private time, man. I don't need to be hanging around with you. You might get me in trouble. But no, but like Clint, I'll tell you what, Clint has a passion for the camera, for capturing moments in the fishing industry. He has a talent, he has a passion, he has a drive. He's got this passion for running because he's going to run a marathon. So it's like I totally get that. And that's why I'm like, every one of us is a little bit different. That's why this thought crossed in my mind. Like I talk to so many people on a daily basis, either through the show or coming in here or whatever, that I'm just kind of like, what makes them tick, especially when it comes to fishing. Now, Tyler, when Beasley was alive and he would come up here, he had that same passion for spotted bass because, and I've told his parents this 100 times, we tried to corrupt that young man's mind more than anybody should be allowed to try to corrupt a young man's mind. And we told him all the time, man, you need a girlfriend. You need a girlfriend. And we'd pull up dirty pictures and stuff to try to show to him and all that. He'd pull up his phone. It'd be spotted bass, spotted bass, spotted bass. And he would say, oh, I'm in love with the spotted bass. But that was his passion, man. And he lived it. Like you can honestly, truly say right up to his final moment, man, he lived with his passion, which I think is, it kills me. His life was cut short, but it was a life that was absolutely lived chasing what he loved. Cam says, with my ADHD, I have to swap my hobbies up from time to time. I get locked in on one hobby for about 6 months, then swap to another. It's either motorcycles, car restoration, off-roading, or fishing. I'm the same way. Now, guys, Georgia Cookbook guy wants to know, anyone have any opinions on Lake West Point or Lake Jackson? So you guys throw in there in the comment section. I've never fished Jackson. It's been a hot minute since I've been on West Point. So throw out some West Point, Lake Jackson opinions, and as I get down there to them, Georgia Cookbook guy, as they come up, I'll read them to you. But listen, hey, Cam, I'm the same way. I'll start a book. I will read 2/3 of that book, and then I will close that book and start another one. For some reason, it pains me to read a book all the way through. I don't know what it is. And I'm trying to get better. But I probably got 500 books at my house. Other than the Bible, I did complete it. But I've got about 500 books, and maybe I have finished 50 out of 500. It's awful. It's awful to do it, but I get having to change it up. Clayton Self, this is the only live I've actually caught, but watch y'all's reels all the time. We appreciate you being here. I know a lot of people know us by those reels and everything, and sometimes our schedule doesn't exactly work with everybody else's schedule. Now, Coleman says, a new passion of mine is showing up on new lakes of all types and trying to catch the biggest bag I can. I mean, fishing in general, it is your passion, for sure. Gone fishing with Diaz. I am very passionate about fishing. My dad instilled it in me when I was 3 years old. Derek Spicer, I just love to pattern bass. I like the challenge of finding them. Totally get it. 100% I get it. Let me scroll on down here, see if I can catch up. My new passion, I guess, is trying to get the Kennesaw bass team going. I'm crazy about trying to fish college tournaments, and you should. I was on a Lake Master app yesterday for like an hour looking for spots on Pickwick. Hey, listen, I remember, I can't remember the young man's name. He was on our podcast back when we pre-recorded it. And Kennesaw had a team at one point, and then I think it went away. So I hope you follow your passion and get that team started back up. But listen, if you're going to go into it, balls out, dude, go. Cletus says, telling stories has been a passion since I was a kid. That's the way Josh is. See you, traveling fisherman. That's the way Josh is here. He loves the story aspect of things. And you can tell it through the lens of a camera. Some people can talk it. Some people can film it. Some people can show it. And then other people just experience it and all that. But yeah, being able to tell a story, everybody's got a story. Even a bass tournament, every event has a storyline somehow. For sure. I have a passion just to enjoy the time out there on the water and learning each time I'm out there, Tracy Coker. Yeah. As Tracy, as we get older in life, I'm not calling you old, but you and I are the same generation. Those simple moments, they're the best. I have a passion for fishing our Georgia rivers. You are, and you love that, and that's what you're doing. So I think it's fantastic. I need to learn the rivers. I got that Shoaley kayak for the express reason of getting in a river and fishing a river. Now, I've got to make some time to learn to do that. Sometimes that's another thing. Sometimes we just got to make time. And don't leave me, Georgia Cookbook guy. I'm sure there's some down there in the comments. I'll be getting to them. My girlfriend got on me the other day for not shutting up about fishing Lake Lanier. Well, listen, Tyler, you got to pick and choose your moments, right? You know what I'm saying? Now, Coleman Jones has got Georgia Cookbook guy. Jackson is the worst lake in the southeast U.S. West Point is super fun to me. Not a whole lot of size, but you can find big ones sometimes. Super aggressive spots. Super aggressive spots. And that's from Coleman Jones. Messick. Are y'all's lakes turning over? I know I've seen a post about Hartwell and Greenwood already turning. Also seen that film on top of the water last night on Greenwood. I would be surprised, and you're welcome, buddy. I would be surprised if Hartwell is actually turning over. Seems like there might be some signs. Like when Underwood was on the other day, he was talking about seeing the bubbles, the methane bubbles or whatever. But like in a full turnover, I would really be surprised given that it's not, I know the days are getting shorter, but we haven't had that real cold snap to get the water temps to flip. So I would really honestly be surprised if it's doing a true one. But sometimes it's like the rut with deer hunting. You always are going to get that guy posting in September about the rut is on. And you're like, no, it ain't. You may have one doe in heat somewhere that she came in early, but the full-blown rut is not on. And maybe you have a guy that saw something and said, the turnover, it looks like it. But I would really be surprised. And I'm not the most knowledgeable guy when it comes to, the makings of a lake. But just in all the guests that we've had on here over the years and listen to guys talk about it, it would really shock me if it's turning over at this point. But I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm not giving you a COVID test. What are you worried about? No, cameraman Cletus, you're not going to ever give me a COVID test. But you never know. Have I ever tried audiobooks to fall asleep? No. I do listen to them, but not to fall asleep. Who all on here is fishing the benefit tournament on, I guess you're talking about the one on Notley. Mike Geiger wants to know. I assume you're talking about Notley? Yeah, on Notley. That's your next statement. Okay. How many of you guys are actually going to fish? I know Kevin Underwood said, I think he's going up there. Now, Tony says, this is good. I never realized it, but he might have ADHD. I'm bad about trying to master something in an addictive manner only to get bored and swap to something else. That's why I like fishing, because I cannot master it. I get it. Bro, you don't know how many times I've been in here and I'll start cutting a video and then I'll go do something else. And then I go do something else. And 3 hours later, I'm like, what did I start off doing? Oh, it was that video. I'm terrible. And listen, it drives my wife crazy. I mean, when I say crazy, I mean legitimately crazy, because I'm the world's worst at starting something and never finishing it. So now she kind of tries to leverage, if you guys know what I'm talking about, leverage to get me to do stuff. I'm not sure how these likes work, but I'm trying to get you up to Georgia Cookbook guy. Listen, I appreciate it. I don't even know how TikTok works either. I just see the hearts going, and I'm like, and I see that you liked it, and I appreciate it. TikTok is still it's like the new frontier for us. We can cut reels and put it on there. But when it comes to lives and getting rewards and all that, I ain't got a clue. Let's see. Tim Hancock. This is a good one, and one I can totally understand coming from him. I guess one of my passions is tinkering with baits and trying to come up with something that is super effective that no one else has, or even finding discontinued baits that no one has that work. Yeah. And you know what? Like, you are a tackle junkie. And when I say that, and it's a tackle junkie that likes the old stuff. Because he posted that on the group page the other day, those pictures we were talking about Bill Payne's collection, and then Tim posted one of all these older crankbaits and stuff that still work today. Like, I know that you have a passion for the old stuff, and I know you have a passion for the old school way of fishing, and that you've got figured out, and you stick to it because you know it works. What's up, Peg Leg? Clayton says, bass fishing is my life, only second to faith and family, and that's a good order, dude. Very, very good order. When it comes to faith, sometimes, you hear people, especially if you're Christian, talking about idols, idol worship, and all that. And a lot of people think you're thinking about a golden calf or something, but you can make anything in your life an idol if it comes before your faith and things like that. You can even make church membership being an idol if it's more important for you to just show up than actually participate in the entire faith and all that. I've heard that said many times, but but that's good. That's a good, absolutely perfect order of operation. The turnover will not complete until the water temp reaches 50 degrees throughout, something like that. Yeah, for sure. Message says that was my thought, Danny. It hasn't been cold enough to flip it yet, and that's all I'm saying is like I'm not on the lake enough to actually be able to tell anybody, hey, it's doing it. I just go by when we have a guest and they're talking about it. Underwood talked about it the other day, seeing the methane bubbles, and we know there's telltale signs that a lake is getting ready. But I think the one ingredient is that specific is water temp, because it's when it equalizes, right? It's when the water temps get close to equalizing that then you get the rest of the oxygenated water going to, that's when it starts that cycle, that flip. Andy Anderson, tell Tyler to get in touch with Brooks and he can get him in touch with the prior Kennesaw State Anglers. They disbanded because of COVID travel restrictions and never got back. Definitely need a Metro team. So Tyler Shelnut, yeah, I can get you in touch for sure with Brooks and them. My old lady is asking about your COVID test. She's watching with me today. Well, tell her. Everybody's heard me talk about it. You just tell her what I did. It's all good. I don't know if anybody wants to hear that story again. Wyatt Richards is helping him. I know that from Pickens. And I think Wyatt said he was going to go to Kennesaw State, so that's good. I hope you guys have Garrett. That's his name, Garrett Guinan. He was on our podcast back in the day. That was definitely pre-COVID. So I hope you guys really get it going. Cam says last week, Allatoona, the temp dropped to 82. Yeah, it's going to have to get down a long way. I think I'm really onto something with my wind chimes. We'll see. Maybe. I was just thinking that this morning. Like, some of you guys have a passion for watching professional fishing. I don't share that passion. I watch it because I know some of the guys now, and I find it interesting. I don't have that passion when it comes to that. I would say if it came to sports, my passion would be baseball because that's what I played growing up. And then when I got out of school, I played beer league softball for ever and a day till my wife put an end to it. Right about 37, 38. I was playing 4 nights a week and every weekend. And when my son was born, our third child, she finally laid the law down and said she's tired of dragging kids to the ballpark in the middle of July. But that was it. And so it's still, and that's what I did with my grandfather. There's a guy in Florida that made a Lego lure and catches all kind of bass with it. Well, when we say the bass got their brain's about the size of your pinky nail, unless you got monster hands. I don't know. Those who said, is it time to start crappie fishing yet? That's what I'd like to do, some more crappie fishing. That lake, I'm telling you, Jeremiah's going to fuss at me if he's watching. Latham is full of big crappie, and Hickory Log supposedly is too. And I know that when I had Fluke Master on, and we did talk about crappie fishing a little bit, he said that like to keep crappie, to eat and all that, he only does that in the colder time of the year. December, January, February, March. That's when he keeps all the crappie for his freezer. And I believe on that episode he was talking about because of parasites, and he thinks the meat is better when you catch them when it's cold as opposed to catch them in the heat of summer. Now, I can't officially say that's true. I'm sure it is. But that's when he likes it. But I do love crappie fishing. If I had a passion in fishing, it's a simple bobber, a Zebco 33, a tube of crickets, and just brim fishing. Because that's what I did as a kid. That's what I did with my dad and my grandfather. So even as a 53-year-old man, and both of them have passed on, I still, if you asked me, honest to goodness, if you said, hey, we can go fish Lake Lanier, we can go fish whatever, or we can go fish this farm pond that's full of big shell cracker and big bluegill, with some crickets, I'll choose that every time. Just, that's always been in me the way I do it. Alabama, the average water temp right now is between 81 and 85. Yeah, way, way too much. I think Garrett was on the 2018. That power, good grief, Danny. I got these zone 9s in and not my regular stuff. They're switching all in my mouth here. I think Garrett was on the 2018 Kennesaw team. That podcast sparked my interest in college fishing. College fishing's blowed up, and we've had some really good college anglers on here. Absolutely. Who you got for AOI MPFL, Welcher or Walters? Like both of them. You know what? I'll tell you that here in a second. I'm going to go with Welcher. I just think it's his year. I have no other scientific explanation. I was hoping Cook would win it, but I'll go with Welcher. I'll just pick one. You guys can throw in there what you think. And I see some guys asking about where to watch the MPFL live. I honestly, and I might be wrong, but I honestly think day one is not – they don't do anything on day one. I think you can go to the Bass Track and keep up with it. But I think it's day 2 and on that they'll have some cameras. I could be wrong, but I think that's the case. I don't think you can watch their day 1. How is the Lake Lanier topwater bite right now? Any improvement? Everybody's talking about it being on fire here for like the last week. Everybody we've talked to, like when Kevin Underwood was on the other night, we was like, what would you do right now? Topwater. Ryan was talking about throwing a buzzbait. I'll throw a buzzbait all day in the right conditions right now. Franco was talking the other day about topwater lot. So I think it's finally getting to what we expect. Now, I don't know if it's as good as times past, but kind of what we expect with the topwater bite, which is interesting too, because the last 3 or 4 guests, you've gone from, hey, downsize your bait to make your bait bigger to down, so right now I think, and then of course Ryan's throwing a buzzbait shallow. So I think you can do it. I think it's up there. Now I'm going to skip a couple to Brian Cannon. I love using an old Johnson Century reel for crappie. Brian, I actually, in my truck outside, I have a box. I have two that I bought off of eBay, those green Johnson Century reels. You can cast them a mile. In fact, that used to be their slogan, something like that, cast a country mile. That is the best casting spin cast button reel I've ever thrown in my life. Not even close, if you ask me. Now, the problem with the 2 I got is I've got to figure out some way for somebody to make the disc for the drag. They cast good, they reel good. The drags are ass. They've been worn out. But I love those reels, man. Absolutely. That's my dad was always a Zebco 33 guy, and I used a Zebco 33 pretty much. But anytime I could get my hand on one of them Johnson Centuries back in the day, I would buy it. I love those things. I keep spots 14 and 16 inches and crappie after the water gets below 55. That's when they're the best. And you've heard me say it. I'm telling you what, spotted bass and crappie both, they make mean tacos. I love a good fish taco. My mouth's watering thinking about it. Tim Hancock said, not sure I'd eat them from there, but Lake Ackworth has or had some monster slabs. I used to catch big slabs on crankbaits regularly. One weighed 3 pounds. Listen, some of the biggest crappie that I've caught on Lathan was when I was bass fishing, working a full-size fluke on topwater. I'd have crappie come up and just annihilate it. Absolutely annihilate it. And that's why I keep telling them. But I can go over there and fish for crappie for sure. But some of the bigger ones I caught was when I was bass fishing for sure. Now, Colton says the MPFL comes on YouTube. They do have YouTube, but I don't know if they're doing it today. Brett Matthews says over here on TikTok, they were chewing out there until the sun came out, so then he went back to work. I've heard that a lot too. And like Farmer and them and John Alder, when they were fishing that tournament a couple of weeks ago, they had that shallow water pattern. Like their pattern was good until the sun come up. So I could see that, but they were chewing out there. I've heard you're only supposed to eat oysters in months that have an R in it for kind of the same reason of parasites. So basically from September to April. I've chunked down a ton of big oysters, lots of oysters, but you're right. I've heard that. I don't know how true it is. But I've also, like now in Apalachicola, and I don't think they've opened it back up, but they've had that season closed to harvest the wild oysters for quite a while. but they have all these farms up now. They lease somebody a section of water, kind of like if you saw that episode of the Real American Road Trip that we worked on when I worked on that oyster farm. But that still might even be true with those, even though they're not technically touching the bottom because they're filters. That's all an oyster is. But my goodness, are they not good, especially when they're briny and salty. But I also think, too, that depends on where the oyster comes from. Because, we think down here, we think the Gulf. And that might be absolutely true. But there are oysters, you can get them all up the eastern seaboard. And I don't know. I don't really know how true that is. But I will tell you guys this. If you haven't heard me say it, you're going to hear me say it again. That this is what I was taught when we worked on that oyster farm. The perfect oyster is called a 3-2-1. Remember, 3-2-1. If you go into a grocery store or something and you're going to buy some oysters that are laying there to take home to do whatever you want, you look for one that's a 3-2-1. And here's why. The perfect oyster is 3 inches long. It is 2 inches wide, and it is 1 inch thick. And that's what these oyster farmers down there on the Gulf go by. They look for a 3-2-1 oyster. When that oyster reaches pretty close or right at 3-2-1, that's when they harvest them. That's when it's just old enough to be the perfect size. It's been in there long enough to brine up and get that salty taste in it. But a 3-2-1 oyster. And my gosh, are they good. I don't care if you don't like them raw and you like them cooked or whatever. There is no such thing as a bad tasting oyster to me. Unofficial leader of the NPFL tournament right now is James Watson, Mr. Worldwide. Cletus says, still 2 weeks from it cooling off and truly kicking off the turnover. Still feel like we are a month away from prime time topwater season. So we have room for improvement, is what Clint's saying. Coleman says raw oysters kill about 80 people in the U.S. each year on average. You know why? Because they ain't got the gut like I got. I got the gut like a billy goat. I'm telling you, listen, I don't want to make light of it because if somebody on here has had somebody's passed away from eating a raw oyster, I'm very sorry. Don't want to sound like I'm not being sensitive to that. But, dude, I love oysters. In fact, there was that other episode where we were working with the mullet guys that Guillermo just had some that he had taken. Well, I'm not going to tell you where he took it from, but let's just say we ate them right there, man. Oh, good Lord, they're good. Bring on the deadly oysters, Dozer21 said. I tell you a good way to eat oyster now. Raw, preferred, but then I like them on what they call Rockefeller, where they steam it or cook it with cheese and some butter and stuff. God, my mouth's watering. And then I love a fried oyster. But I'll go up here and every once in a while for lunch, I'll go into the grocery store up here and just buy some of them old smoked oysters. And they're really good in eggs in the morning. So they had oyster beds next to where we stayed in Mobile Bay. Bottom Line Outdoors said he caught 15 shell cracker this morning on a white jig. I'm telling you what, shell crackers to me, I know everybody loves bluegill, but a shell cracker, and again, not a stump knocker. I don't want to be corrected by Doc again, because evidently we've been calling them the wrong thing in some of these places, but a true shell cracker. That's the fightingest sunfish, smaller sunfish to me there is. If you eat raw oysters, you'd eat a booger. Sure. Put a little hot sauce on a booger. Ain't nothing wrong with it. I don't like the aftertaste of raw oysters. Oh, come on now. Come on, kid. Old Dirty Cracker said, I just watched that oyster episode this morning. I'm telling you, listen. Now, I will say this, though, about that episode. That was some of the nastiest stuff, though, that you will do. First of all, because you get in those lagoons down there. Okay, we're in the Port St. Joe area, Apalachicola. You guys know it. You guys know what I'm talking about. But you talking about some daggum bugs that will eat your ass alive. I mean alive. So you better have something on or you're going to get eaten to death. But then you get out there on that water. And again, an oyster starts off as a spud, about the size, again, of your pinky nail. They put it in those bags. And as they filter the water, they grow. And then they will just kind of keep rotating the bags until they get to that 3-2-1. And you probably heard us. That was where we learned about it, was on that episode of 3-2-1. And every once in a while, like if you watch that episode, crabs will get in there. And I mean, they'll scare the hell out of you. because you pick up that bag and you pour the oysters out onto the little boat that we're on, and you got the mud and the muck and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, you got a little crab just flying. I mean, it scares the daylights out of you. But that was a fun episode. That was, and it was really, really good. Had some good beer, some good oysters down there. Oyster City. If you ever go down to Apalachicola, go into Oyster City and get you a dirty hooter. Get you a dirty hooter. Hey, appreciate you stopping by, Georgia Cookbook guy. There's something about it, and a dirty hooter is two beers that are mixed in one. It's a couple different beers that they mix to make a dirty hooter. It is fantastic. It's a darker beer. If you're into beer, it's a darker style beer, but it is fantastic. I wish if they had them up here at the grocery store, I mean, that's all we would carry in here. I'd be making people mad because that would be their only choice. Coleman, they're delicious on a cracker with hot sauce. That's one way to eat them for sure. If you think you have the digestive system of a billy goat, Tim Hancock said, that's why we get along, dude. I mean, listen, I can eat some strange stuff. Scallops are good. Scallops are really good. Listen, there's not a lot that comes out of salt water that's bad that I won't eat. Now, I will say this. As crazy as the things that I've eaten in my life, if you go to certain Chinese buffets, they got them little bitty octopuses. I draw the line with that. Now, if I was getting paid like on a TV show, I might eat one. But I generally will kind of scroll around them a little bit. That might be more of a texture thing. I don't know. Smoked oysters and eggs. I might need to avoid the shop that day. No, dude, it's great. It's fantastic. And for you younger boys, oysters in some cultures are aphrodisiacs. So if you got a little problem with your Jimmy, eat some oysters. See if it works. Listen, I'm just what they tell me. I'm not the guy that figured it out. I'm not the guy that is telling everybody that. I'm just passing on some information that I heard from you so that you might better enjoy the taste of oysters and give you a reason to eat more oysters. It's good for you, Jimmy. Tim says, I'm not eating octopus for sure. The oyster harvest is supposed to reopen January 1st, 2026 in Apalachicola. That's good news. It got run down, and then, of course, you had the water wars, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, because you guys got to realize in Apalachicola, the water that goes out in that bay starts up here in the North Georgia mountains as the Chattahoochee River. So you fly guys that are up there trying to catch those natives where Chattahoochee is about, 2 foot wide, whatever. Unless the city of Atlanta takes it for their drinking water, eventually that water finds its way down to the Gulf of Mexico. And that's, and they were arguing for the longest time about that water. Atlanta Highway Seafood Market in Gainesville has some pretty dang good oysters as well as other seafood. I'm going to go check that place out. I did not know that. Brim eat boogers. Brim eat everything. That's Patricia's for sure. Sardines and hot sauce with the saltine crackers are solid. I eat all kinds of sardines. I got a couple cans. I got 3 cans I'm looking at right over there. My wife will not let me eat sardines in the house, though, and she doesn't like oysters either because they stink, she says. She says that when you take a can of those smoked oysters and you open them up, but I can't smell. I ain't been able to smell in 5 years, so it don't bother me none. But I love sardines too. Now, I prefer the mustard over the hot sauce, but I like the hot sauce over the just regular, but I'll eat them all. And then Tim says, I ain't eating an octopus. That's just wrong. They're smarter than most people I know. Yeah, they're these really tiny little bitty octopuses. King Oscar sardines are the bomb. Absolutely. They're fantastic. They are really, really good. Now, I keep threatening the guys, and I have an advantage because I can't smell. But you've seen the videos of that pickled or fermented mullet or herring or whatever that they sell over there in like Norway or Sweden that stinks so bad. You've seen the guys, they open up the cans and the guys are instantly just yakking. And you guys in the comment section might know exactly what it's called. But I keep threatening to order some of that stuff for the guys here so that one night we might open it up during the live well, because I think I got an advantage because I can't smell. And so I'd just be sitting there going to town, just eating that stuff if it tastes okay. And no, I don't mean yum yum. Oysters does not mean that, but it might make you enjoy that better. According to Terry Crews on White Chicks, oysters indeed are an aphrodisiac. Hey, listen, I've heard that from a lot of people. I've also heard it about watermelon as well. I think, I don't know, maybe the water content, I don't know why, but I do know I've heard it a ton about oysters. So much, in fact, true story, that I have come home from the grocery store with the bag, wife being in the kitchen, and I have pulled out a can of oysters and set them on the counter, and she will look at me and go, it's not going to work. Iron Dome. Because I have said that before. But I have honestly been told by my wife, no, not going to help you tonight. So it is what it is. It is what it is. I've been wanting to go back to Stamp Creek, but go on my kayak. I was in a boat last time, thankfully, and my friend had live scope and everything else that is useful, but I don't have that in my yak. Listen, Stamp Creek is one of those places too, though. And a lot of it, you can just go beat the banks. Those islands out there, you can fish around the islands up towards the marina. I would say it would help you a lot more around the marina for sure, and maybe as you go upriver. But if you go upriver enough, it gets shallow. But that is a place that you can go without live scope in a tournament and actually be competitive, if you get what I'm saying. Now, don't get me wrong. When they get out there in the middle, yeah, it would help to have it for sure. Most of the fish we've seen were a little deeper in the open water or schooling. Yeah, I mean, it would help you there. But don't not take shallow water bank fishing out of your mind in Stamp Creek, though, because it is good. Randy Callahan, Holden, Oversoul, and Habersham lets you pick where your oysters are from. They have it from like 8 different places. Really? Now that would be a good place. What are your options, Randy, if you remember? I'm very curious as to what your options are. And I might go out there and just pick one from each one and do like where the best ones are. I know I'm partial to the Apalachicola area, but I have had oysters from other places. But I'm very curious. You got me thinking. What are the 8 different places? If you can remember. My brother's buddy had it mailed one to him on his birthday. I'm not sure the name of it. Now that's talking about that fish. And I think it is a pickled or fermented herring. But they say when you open it up that the smell is so bad. If you watch enough of those videos, those guys are just absolutely like, and they're trying to open it. I know my puke sounds don't sound great, but that's what they do. They're gagging like crazy because it's like a challenge. I don't know if you guys remember, me and Ryan did the hot chip challenge downstairs. There's still a video of it somewhere on the channel. I won. God, it was hot. But I think we could have that challenge. Just sit it right here. Just put the wide shot camera. Bring Tim, Tony, Alex, whoever's working the boards that night in here with the guests. And let's just open it and see how many, who is gagging first. Because I promise you it ain't going to be me because I can't smell. We'd have to be careful with old Thornton because he's of age. We don't want him getting really digestive distress and everything going on. But I think it'd be funny to watch Alex and Tony, Tim, or Farmer, or any of those guys that are on here with us. Just watch them get sick. We'll probably have some bags. I don't want it all over my table. And just see. If you guys can remember the name of it, let me know. I might do that. Rocky has been spoiling me with some great days of fishing. If I were to go back to Stamp on my yak with no electronics, do I have any advice? Listen, you can't go wrong with a shaky head or a Ned rig. Anywhere. I mean, honestly, I know that ain't sexy. It's not sexy, but you can throw a shaky head or a Ned rig or a wacky worm along the bank anywhere, catch fish. You can throw underspins at the pole markers. You can throw some bills over them a little bit. I don't know a ton of the brush piles over there. I do know that on those 2 islands that you come up, if you're going out of Stamp back towards the main lake, you got the 2 islands that everybody stops and fish. The bigger fish that we've caught has been between the 2 islands. We've caught fish all around it, but between the 2 islands, you can go back in any pocket. A lot of guys throw crankbaits over there too. A lot of guys I know will throw a sexy shad, whatever style shallow running crankbait you like. They'll throw that. Um, you can't go wrong there. You can catch fish. What's up, Tiny Times? How you doing, buddy? Jedi mind trick. Oh, her. Okay, so this is Colton's advice for me and my wife. Jedi mind trick her, Danny. If she opens anything, just look at her and say, "Nope, not going to help you tonight." She knows that you know what? She knows I would never say that because I'm looking for any help I can get. And I don't ever want to give her a reason to say no. That's might be worth trying, but she ain't going to fall for that one. My wife listen, she's smart. She knows all my tricks. That's why her Iron Dome is absolutely like, I'm telling you, she knows all of them. She can tell by the way I wiggle my pinky toe. Nope, not tonight. Steven Sturgeon says, aphrodisiac with a question mark. I always heard they put lead in your pencil. Don't know about setting the mood. Well, but okay, so maybe when I say aphrodisiac, maybe it is more talking about the lead in your pencil. That's an interesting way of saying it. Number 2 lead in the pencil. So that might be, but you know, maybe the mood setting is not it. That might be what they're talking about. Randy says you don't remember the kind of oysters, but they were good. I'll have to check that out. Cam says that stuff was horrible. And he said, I can't smell since COVID either, but I smelt that. Come on, Cam. Come on now. Tracy Coker says, so you were saying you want some mountain oysters and some surströmming. SURSTRO with the little wiggly line over it. MMING. Listen, I'll eat the mountain oysters if they're fried up right. They got to be fried. I don't want no boiled ones. Can you imagine how bad that would just look on a plate? Okay, so surströmming is the pickled herring that smells like hell. I would try it. So if you want to buy a can, we'll open it up. But I still haven't had anybody bring me a shad that for me to eat to see if it tastes like garlic. Nobody will bring it. I'd eat it right here on the show. I'd try it. Now, I will say this. Nathan, my buddy Nathan, sent me a video. And I think it's Japanese or Chinese. But here's what they do to a baby gizzard shad. They take the baby gizzard shad and they kind of fillet it open. They cut the head off and the tail off. Then they cut out the ribs as best you can. Then they take the salt. This is a gizzard shad. Then they take the salt and they salt it. I don't know how long you have to leave it with the salt on. But then after they salt it, they put it in vinegar. I believe I don't think it's apple cider vinegar, but I think they put it in a vinegar. Might be some kind of oriental vinegar, rice vinegar. Rice vinegar is probably what it is. And they let it sit in that vinegar for 2 to 3 days. And then they roll it up and you need it. I think I would try that. Seems like a lot of work for one bite of food because it ain't a full-blown gizzard. It's a little baby gizzard shad. We're talking 2, 3, 4 inches, maybe not even 3 inches long. How would you like to try to fillet? I mean, you have to have some sharp knives. Fillet a 3-inch gizzard shad. But that is some kind of delicacy. Nathan sent me that video, and I watched it, and I'm sitting there thinking, it says it's got a strong taste. Strong taste. But I think I would try it. I don't know if that's what Milliken eats for sure. Bro, if I can make it down there one day, I will bring you a herring to try. Surely it cannot be anything more than an oversized sardine. So the herring thing comes about because I always question garlic as a scent. Why guys use garlic as a scent? And all of these anglers around it, not all of them, a bunch of them say, have you ever tried a shad? Well, hell, of course not. I'm not a bass. I don't live in the water. But they say if you take a bite of one of those, it will taste like a garlicky taste. I don't see how it could happen. I don't see it happening, but a lot of people have said that. Now they're probably just saying that to get me to eat a shad, but I would try it just for science. I think I would try it for science for sure. Vinegar would help dissolve or soften any small bones. Yeah, but it was really weird. It was really weird. I'd have to go back and look at the video. But the thing that caught my eye is when they opened up the gizzard shad, the rib section was like red meat, almost like you were trying to cut that red line out of some fish. But then they salted the hell out of it and put it in rice vinegar. I mean, I like vinegar too. If I go to Captain D's or Long John Silver's or whichever one is open still, and you get the fish and all that, I always got that vinegar, that malt vinegar. I can drink vinegar. I can just drink that stuff. Burns a little bit going down, but I can drink it. Sounds like to me they just want to see you bite a shad. Now, chocolate crickets I've had. I've had chocolate crickets. I've had ranch-flavored crickets. I've had barbecue crickets. I've eaten plenty of crickets. Honestly, once they take that cricket and they roast it, it's just crunchy. You don't get those squishy stuff. It's just crunchy. But you can go up on the way. I know on the way to Cleveland, if you're leaving Dawsonville and you're going up and you go to Cleveland, there is this, I want to say it's called the Tomato House, but there's this little place on the left that you know how you go up in the country and you get all them, like they got all kinds of the pickled eggs and all them things, all these different freaking sorghum syrups and pickled okra and all that stuff, pickled peaches, all that stuff. And they got all kinds of stuff there and knickknacks for the women to buy. But they got a little section over there, and it had crickets. And it had ranch-flavored crickets. And I remember buying it, popping them in my mouth. Not bad at all. Them Captain D's combos used to hit, especially the crunchies. You guys know what I'm talking about. There's something about that batter that they use, and you get them little crunchies, and you actually order extra crunchies or whatever they call them. Now, not exactly good for heart health at all. We get my TikTok guys going back here again. But I would take that, and I would just absolutely load it. And I would load it with the, let me hit resume there. There we go. I would load it with that malt vinegar. That stuff's good, man. Really, really good. Could the taste be that way if the shad are feeding off of zooplankton, that is eating phytoplankton, that are feeding off the old stinking garlic grass in the lake? Well, Colton, you probably are right. But you sure as hell just put a lot more thought into it than I ever did. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? You could be onto something there. Because there's some kind of grass over there in Latham that if you ever get hung up on it and you pull it up and it smells like garlic. You know what I'm saying? It actually has that kind of garlicky smell. And garlic is one of the few things that I can actually get a whiff of and smell right now. I can get the garlic scent for maybe a second and then it's gone. But I remember that. So you actually could be onto something. I don't know, but it sounds as good as anything. Might as well just pick up a carp off the beach and take a bite. How much money's involved? The chicken planks from Long John Silver's are a sleeper menu item. I agree 100% because do they still use the same batter on those that they did with the fish? There was a time that the chicken was battered in the same stuff as the fish, and it's that batter that kicks, man. It might be Long John Silver's, but I believe that's some good chicken. Don't sleep on that. Now, guys, too, finally, somebody in the world came to their senses. You'll never hear me fuss about any restaurant out there very often. Not about their service, not about anything. But only one time in my life have I ever been pissed off at a restaurant, and that was Taco Bell. When Taco Bell made the dumb decision to pull the chili cheese burrito off their menu back in the day, to me, it was like losing my dog. I love chili cheese burritos. That was the best thing on the menu. Well, now with their Y2K menu, they have brought them back. You see, when they didn't have the chili cheese burrito, the only Taco Bells that could sell one had to be independent franchises. They were still allowed to decide whether they wanted to sell it. I have driven, ask my wife, we've been traveling somewhere. I've driven 2 miles out of the way to a Taco Bell to get a chili cheese burrito. There's just something about that gooey cheese and that chili, little fire sauce on top of it. Hell, when I get done here, I'll probably run up to Jasper and get one. Chili cheese burrito was amazing. Well, now they changed the menu. Now you can get you some French fries dipped in cheese. You can get you all these gorditos, whatever the hell they are. But a simple chili cheese burrito, can't be a lot of money involved in it. No, they took it away. I would like to take the board member or the guy in that organization that made that decision and just slap him right across the head. The TikTok don't get on to me. I'm not being serious. It was a terrible decision. Terrible decision, in my opinion. But they have brought it back now on the Y2K menu. Now, Clint, if you're still listening, I told him the other day, he said, how's your diet going, Danny? I said, well, I cheated on a little bit. I went and got me some chili cheese burritos from Taco Bell. They're amazing. I love them. I'm even thinking about right before they get rid of it, going and buying about $200 worth and freezing the things. Now, Coleman just said, Danny is passionate about this burrito. Yes, I am. The chili cheese burrito from Taco Bell it should be a staple from here on out for the rest of the remainder of the, forever. Eat them, but keep getting your steps in, Cletus said. Problem is, I can't just eat one. I eat like 3 or 4 of them. I love those things. You're right, Coleman. I might have a problem when it comes to the chili cheese burrito from Taco Bell. That's the way I was when they removed the Mexican pizza. They finally brought it back. That's what my wife likes. She likes the Mexican pizza. She likes the chili cheese burrito too. But honestly, there are decisions made in life in corporations that sometimes just don't understand. You young guys that like the whatever those fries are that you can get from Taco Bell, just so you can dip them in cheese. You can get those. I mean, it's a fry. You shouldn't be selling fries at a taco restaurant anyway. But hot damn, them chili cheese burritos are back. I love those things. That's like Jack's restaurant here in Alabama has the best fish sandwiches, but you better get them quick. They only keep them for like 2 weeks. Bojangles does that with the pork griller. The pork chop biscuit, it comes and goes. That's another one. Pork chop and cheese biscuit from Bojangles. That's a sleeper item, man. I'm telling you, you need to get it. Nacho fries are great at the Bell, Colton. No, see, Colton, that's what's wrong with you. Now you got one strike on you. Nacho fries. Just look at the name. Nacho fries. It don't belong there. From an outside perspective, you definitely look lighter compared to the archived episodes from years back. Thank you. Thank you, Big Long Johns. I am down a few pounds. I might gain them all back during this chili cheese burrito run, but I am down. I appreciate that. That makes me feel good. Doug Rice says the burrito is pretty good. Now, not yours. What are you talking about, Dozer? If you had a comment up there, I missed it. But honestly, how many strikes would you allow me, sir? Listen, I'm a very forgiving man. That strike will be forgiven the second I hit the end stream. But right now, during this show, you got one. You got one strike. Nacho fries is the most overrated thing I have ever seen in my life, and my wife loves them. Nacho chili cheese fries. Now, listen, there's a difference. Now, you can go to Crystal and get those chili cheese fries and all that. That's different. But handing you out some fries and giving you a thing of cheese and saying dip it, that's what a pretzel's for. Now, a pretzel and good beer cheese, you can't beat that. A hot pretzel, like a real pretzel, especially if you go up north, because those boys up there know how to do it. A hot pretzel and beer cheese is amazing. Crystal's nacho chili, whatever fries, chili cheese fries, absolutely. Can I trade you 10 burritos for that pack of Sakamadas? We might have to talk. But anyway, it's good. You guys listen, just go try them. You might think they're overrated, but chili cheese burrito is amazing. I think that's what I'm going to do. Second I go, I haven't had lunch yet, even though this is a lunch break. You guys really do understand that the lunch break for me, my lunch break happens after we do this show. I'm going to run up to Jasper and get me a chili cheese burrito. Have you ever eaten at Freddy's Burgers restaurant? I have had Freddy's. I think that's what we got up in Dawsonville. I get the one with the jalapenos on it. The hamburger that's got the jalapenos. But the jalapenos, now listen, there's another thing too. Like, if you're eating a hamburger with jalapenos on it or whatever, it got to be the pickled kind. I don't like eating like the raw. I mean, I love jalapenos, but they got to be the pickled kind. Cam says they take lunch at 10. Doug says you will gain it back in November. Yeah, I might, for sure. I know, look, if I'll have a fantastic afternoon. If I leave here, go get me a few chili cheese burritos, and then Kevin Thornton will show up tonight about 6 o'clock, 6:30, and he's going to have subs from Publix. He does this every Thursday night, guys. You guys don't know how good we got it here. We're spoiled. And he will feed us. He will feed us these subs, and everything he brings from Publix is amazing. The chicken wings, whatever. Publix is fantastic in their food department. Need a little pimento cheese on every burger. I like pimento cheese on a burger. I also like to take blue cheese. If I'm grilling, you can take pimento or you can take blue cheese. And while you got it on the grill, throw it on top of it and just let it cook in there and melt. If y'all ate at Taco Bell in Athens, you ditch Taco Bell forever. Maybe. Listen, I'm going to say that your experience may not be the same across the board. But that's like everywhere. I love Crystals. The Crystals in Canton, it's a little sketch. Gumlog Barbecue in Livonia, Hartwell. Listen, I will try it. You should start the next lunch break staring into the camera, devouring a chili cheese burrito. I would lose it. Yeah, listen, you guys think I'm lying, though. That's how much I love that chili cheese burrito. My daughter went to Barry, okay? So that's over there in Rome. There's 2 ways to go from here to go to Barry. You can go out 20 through Cartersville and up, or you can go 140 out through Adairsville and up. The Taco Bell in Adairsville always served the chili cheese burrito because it was an independent franchise. Ask me which way I would go every time I went to Barry. Or you go to Rocky Mountain, for sure. Doc, how does someone mess up a taco? For sure. I mix the ranch powder packets into the ground beef when seasoning burgers. And then Coleman says, that's a solid move. I don't know. Listen, all I can tell you is right now my mouth is watering. So I actually think that I'm about done for the day, and I'm going to go get me a chili cheese burrito. But again, guys, in all seriousness, think about what you're passionate about and follow it. You guys, especially like Tyler, you with the team and everything. I love hearing about what you guys like. Now, I want you guys Taco Bell used to have a bell beefer. It was awesome. Yeah, for sure. Dozer, we'll see you there, buddy. I'm going to get rid of my TikTok guys first on here today. You guys have a great day. See you tonight at 8. But you guys come back tonight. Now, I'll say this about the live well. We ain't even 100% sure what we're going to talk about tonight. But it'll be good. It's going to be Tony and Alex, Father Time, and me. We're going to be here. I'll come up with something. We were going to do a Gunnersville episode, but I couldn't work out the guys from Gunnersville to be here. So we're just going to listen. We're just going to make something up. Clint, I'll come fish with you, buddy. Not this weekend, though. I'm going deer hunting. Won't be tonight. We will be at the Treaty Oak Revival concert. We'll have a good time there, buddy. You can listen tomorrow for sure. And, hey, you guys have a great day. Go by Taco Bell, and in honor of me, get you a chili cheese burrito. And I want you to listen. If you go get a chili cheese burrito, I want you to tag it. Take a picture of the chili cheese burrito. Go to Facebook, tag me in it. Let's see how many of you guys actually do it. But I'm going to get me 3 right now. So you guys be good. I'll see you tonight at 8 o'clock. If you're in the area, come hang out with us. If not, we look forward to talking with you then. So you guys be good. Be safe. Don't work too hard. We'll see you tonight.